Have you ever found yourself stuck? You know there's a pile of things you should be doing, things that would probably make you feel better. Yet, despite knowing what's good for you, you just can't seem to get started. Maybe it's cleaning up the house. Maybe it's making that long overdue phone call. Or maybe it's something as simple as taking a shower. And the more you think about doing it, the heavier it feels. You start wondering, why can't I just move? That feeling, being frozen in place, goes beyond simple procrastination. It's called psychological inertia. And it's a powerful force that keeps you stuck, especially when you're dealing with depression or anxiety. But what if I told you that breaking free isn't about somehow finding more motivation or waiting until you feel like it? Because let's face it, we all know that moment rarely comes on its own. Let's dig deeper. Think of inertia in physics. An object at rest stays at rest until an external force pushes it. Or an object in motion continues in the same direction until something changes its path. The same thing happens to us mentally. Depression, anxiety, or simply feeling overwhelmed, it all quashes the energy needed to do something different. You become stuck in your own thoughts, wondering, why can't I just do this? And then you beat yourself up, adding layers of guilt and shame on top of it all. But here's the kicker. Maybe the problem isn't that you don't want it badly enough. Maybe it's that you've been told wanting is the key, and that belief is keeping you trapped. Think about it. How many times have you thought, if only I wanted this more, I'd be able to get started? It's a common misconception, believing that we need to feel motivated before we can act. But what if that's not true? What if the solution is learning to act, even when the desire to act is nowhere to be found? That's right. You can move forward, even without that spark of desire. Let's consider this. We do many things in life without wanting to do them. We pay bills not because we love doing it, but because we value the result, keeping the lights on. We might not want to go to the gym, but we want to feel healthier. These are examples of acting for the outcome, rather than for the experience of the action itself. Now, depression complicates things. It can steal not just the motivation to do something, but even the joy you'd normally get from the outcome. So where does that leave us? We're left questioning, how do I act when there's no want at all? It's time to shift your mindset. Consider that wanting isn't a prerequisite for action. You don't have to want to clean your home to start cleaning. You don't have to want to go outside to step out the door. Instead of waiting for the desire to come, decide to act without it. Still not convinced? Okay, try this. Think back to a time when you did something reluctantly, only to be surprised by how much you actually enjoyed it. Maybe you dragged yourself to that social event, only to end up having a great time. Or you didn't want to exercise, but felt a rush of satisfaction afterward. That's because we tend to underestimate the reward we'll feel from doing things, especially when we're stuck in a low mood. So what's the takeaway? We don't always need want to get started. Often, action itself brings back the desire. It's like flipping a switch you didn't know was there. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but how do I do something I don't want to do and can't bring myself to do? Good question. This is where we get creative. Let's say you don't want to clean up your space, but you love listening to a good podcast. Combine them. Listen to a favorite episode while you tidy up, and suddenly you're cleaning without feeling the same resistance. This is what I call finding a workaround want. You're linking a task you don't want to do with something you genuinely enjoy. Or maybe you've got a social goal, meeting up with friends once a week. But today, the idea of socializing feels unbearable. Focus on the long-term goal instead. Remind yourself that keeping this routine matters to you in the bigger picture. You're not acting out of desire for the activity itself, but for the larger purpose it serves. But what if you can't find a workaround want? Sometimes, all that's left is logic. When we're stuck, we need to use reason to push ourselves forward. Here's how it goes. If staying stuck means feeling the same or worse, but doing something means there's at least a chance to feel differently, then isn't it reasonable to act just to see what happens? It's about making a bet with yourself. A simple one. I don't know how I'll feel after this, but I'm willing to find out. You might be surprised by the results. Even a small action, like walking to the mailbox or making your bed, can shift your momentum. I'm not saying it's easy, far from it. When you're in a dark place, even the smallest tasks can feel monumental. But you're not aiming for perfection here. You're just looking for a nudge that breaks the inertia and gets you moving, even a little. So, the next time you find yourself stuck staring at a to-do list you can't bring yourself to tackle, remember this: you don't have to want to do something to do it. It's okay if you don't feel like it. Start small, act anyway, and trust that sometimes action itself can lead you back to desire. And if you're finding it hard to navigate this on your own, that's okay too. This is where reaching out to a therapist can be incredibly helpful. They can help you identify your unique workaround wants and create strategies tailored to your situation. Remember, breaking free from psychological inertia is a journey. It's not about feeling 100% better overnight. It's about taking one small step at a time, even when every part of you says you can't. Each step is a victory. And each victory, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you want to lead. Your journey starts now.